maybe. All right, so this is the APM weekly meeting for June 3rd. Let's see, the first topic was a carryover from last time. It was about the documentation card sort from Nadia. I don't know if there's any updates we want to talk about this. I don't know if there's more that we wanted to talk about. We only kind of briefly touched on it last time.
I think it's important to go over. Sorry, Amy. I think it's important to read through the issue, and Nadia asked all of us to go over the finding and provide the feedback. And so I encourage all of you to do that. And Amy, I rudely interrupt you.
It's okay. In the last couple of comments on the issue, I've tried to outline where we stand. This issue blocks an immense amount of work for me because the Prometheus page, I'm just going to say that and leave it. Once we have it settled on what the URL path should be, I can start moving things. But until we settle on a path, I don't really want to shift things around only to move them again shortly thereafter. So take a look, give some thought to, should this belong in user/project? Should it belong in user project operations somewhere else? If you can give me that first part, I can take it from here. I just need that first answer.
I have one question. I think I saw it in a comment, Amy. We don't want to be moving those URLs around very much, right? That's the thing where we have to figure this out kind of in advance, right? Is that correct?
Correct. The problem is that /help does not play nicely with redirects, and so we can't actually delete a file entirely when we move it to another location. We have to leave a stub. We have several hundred stubs. I'd like to not make this worse.
Okay, thanks. And I saw Clement talked about the SEO impact of that, so good. Okay, that answers my question. Thank you. Okay, then, so yes, everyone read through that, add comments, add your insight. And then the next up is Amy.
Sorry, I was completely blanking. Right, I totally did need to mention that. I'm not intending on taking vacation anytime soon, but we've changed things around in the documentation team so that we have a defined backup person instead of catch as, catch can. Evan Reed will be serving as my backup anytime that I'm out for a significant period of time. So if for some reason I disappear, I'll let you all know in advance and he'll handle things while I'm out.
Just don't disappear before the 18th.
Can't. I have to get trained up on how to do the release posts because I'm up in July.
Good luck.
That's exciting.
For varying definitions of exciting.
Okay, so top 3 features for monitoring, for the monitor stage.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, Dove, you have the next one.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we've been getting feedback from the team across the board that they want to understand where we're at, where we're heading, and sometimes, you know, there are some of the team members are assigning to a specific issue and don't really understand where it fits in the overall picture. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes to go over in a really high level, like birds of an eye, what are the plans for the monitor, for the APM group specifically, for the next, I cannot guarantee a year, maybe more, maybe less. So I'm gonna go ahead and share. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to stop me. So are you all seeing my mural board?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet, sorry. Yeah. This new update.
There we go.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is really, really high level. Okay, obviously the devil is in the little details, and if I would have gone through each and every section and go over all the issues, it will probably take us hours. And also, since we iterate, some of the ideas that we have are not well defined. We maybe have like a couple of issues that we want to take on in the future, and then obviously we will get feedback and iterate. But generally speaking, we all know we are building a monitoring solution. And our main goal is, as I listed here, is to provide users with information about the health and performance of their services and applications. Now, in order to get to this goal, and I've looked at it from the eyes of the user needs to do a couple of key things. And I'm going to describe the actions the users are doing, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not prioritized by the work that we need to do. And I can talk about it after all. But to start with, user need to get the data in. And what we need, and I listed here as the user, I would like to collect the important metrics for my application and services. There are some vendors that already have like predefined metrics that you can collect, like you install an agent and you can automatically select, I want CPU, I want memory usage, and so on. And they have like a list of like hundreds of metrics that you can pick from. That's like one example. So if we look at what our users are doing, obviously we ask them to install Prometheus, either external Prometheus or internal one. We ask them to implement their application if they would like to collect like specific metrics. They can deploy exporters to the Helm chart, and they should enable metric scraping. Once they are done with those 4 steps, they get the data in, okay? Now we have the data. And yeah, by the way, I forgot to tell you that what you see here on the black circle, those are different research issues that me and Nadia have done. I think all of them are complete, and we have more research another research that we plan for 13.2. So what I'm talking about is based on interviews that we did with our users, and obviously you can click on the research and you can see all the interviews and the finding. And to some extent, we have also epics. Below here, we have some epics that we've defined, and obviously we need to iterate on those. So this is the first phase that the customer is doing. Once we have the data in, the next obvious thing is we want to see the data. And as a user, I like to see the metrics I've collected in a dashboard. And to do that, we have a couple of key items that we can provide to the user. One of them is out-of-the-box dashboard. We have our own default dashboard. It's one dashboard where we present like basically everything that we collect automatically. This is like many vendors take pride on the amount of out-of-the-box dashboard that you can get, and customers really like that because they don't like to mess around with configure dashboard and moving things around. If they can get like whatever they need in the default dashboard, and it doesn't matter if like half of the dashboard is not working and half is working, it's good enough. It's good enough because it does provide value, and I think also give them confidence that their monitoring system is working. We set everything up, we did all this hard work, and now I can see something come in. So like, it feels good when you set up your monitoring solution and suddenly you see like colors in the dashboard. It gives you like, I guess it's a mental thing. So the more out-of-the-box dashboard we can provide to the user, the better. Secondly is all the data visualization and manipulation. And this is the work that we do today with our dog fooding metrics project. So all the annotation and all the template variables in the dashboard, all the things that we are doing based on the feedback, or most of the things that we are doing based on the feedback that we collect from our infra team is in this box. And this is what we've been focusing for the last, I think, like 3 iterations. It was like the main focus. And the next thing is adding metric. And I've added like add metric here as a workflow because in one of our research that we've done, me and Nadia realized that a lot of our users actually starts with the metric dashboard, and then they quickly move on to Grafana. Why they move on to Grafana? Because it's easy. If you look at our dashboard and you want to do something simple, like change it, rearrange it, or add a single metric that is not one of those out of the box that we provide, they need to, first of all, they need to go to documentation because there is no easy way, even in the UI, we have like the add data modal, then you have this huge form. Okay, what do I do? And it's easier for the user to simply right click and go to Grafana. By the way, we bundle Grafana with GitLab, and we have a way to do this, we have a way to set up this integration. So user already did this part, and when the user go to the dashboard, he realized, hey, I can go to Grafana. And what we believe is that if we allow our users to easily set up different metrics that they've already collected, then we will probably gain more adoption. This is, again, based on the research that we did. So add metric is a key flow, a key workflow that we believe can help us grow our solution. And with that, also create dashboard. It's normally something that users are doing as they create dashboard. They don't like create an empty dashboard. They create a dashboard, then they add metric. They're also on the way and configure alerting, which is like the next thing. But basically, I see those two workflow goes hand in hand, although I separate those two because I think the add metric deserve like a place of its own. And obviously we have the research and we have several epics, and there is this amazing design issue that Nadia created about the add metrics, and I encourage all of you to go look at it and add your comments. I'm pretty sure you saw it, but if not, then do that. The next part on our monitoring adventure is logging. Logging is important because metrics is not enough. Metrics provide you with an indicator that something goes wrong. Sometimes metric can help you find the problem, but in many cases, we've realized that users need to go to some sort of a logging system. And today, with this whole move to microservices architecture and Kubernetes and everything is moving, it's very hard to do that manually, practically impossible. In the old days, when you have like 3-tier application and a big monolith, you just dive into like SSH into a single server, and then you just tail the log or like go through like a huge log that went on and on and on. Today, logs are spread across hundreds of pods, and like a single service can call like multiple pods and activate multiple services, and it's practically impossible to do that. So this is why the log aggregation use case emerged from, where you have some sort of a logging capability that aggregates on your log and present them in a filter by, the easiest thing is to filter them by timestamp, but obviously allow the user to conduct sophisticated search and filtering capability. And this is what we are doing with our logging solution. With our logging solution in the Log Explorer, the user first needs to install Elasticsearch, and we do it as a managed app. So it's with the click of a button, the user can deploy Elasticsearch in their cluster, and it will automatically start collecting all the logs that are coming from this cluster. And then obviously those logs need to be surfaces in the UI, and this is why we have the Log Explorer. and we need to provide the user with advanced search and filtering capabilities, because the amount of logs that are generated by those applications, sometimes it can be like petabytes of logs per day. And it's, again, it's impossible to scan them, by hand. You need to have some sort of a way to conduct sophisticated filtering with regular expression and things like that to be able to track down and find the root cause analysis. And here, actually, I've created a competitive analysis in this research, because there are established vendors today. And I think I've gone to like 4 or 5 of them. And the logging solution is very mature in the world today. So it's very easy to see what, like, things that all 5 vendors have. And naturally, this is something that we should have as well. So it was very helpful doing that to understand what are our gaps, along with customer interviews that we've done as we mature our logging solution. And the next thing that users would like to do, obviously, is to set up alerts. They want to be alerted when there is some sort of a violation of a metric. If you ask someone in the NOC or like the VP of Ops, what is the thing that he hates the most? He hates to cut off guard and be surprised and getting angry calls from customers saying, hey, your application is not working. They want to be alerted when things go wrong before someone is calling them and getting mad at them because basically they're unable to do things in their application. And to that, obviously, we need an easy way to set up an alert to our solution and define some sort of notification. Sometimes alert does not involve notification. It doesn't go like, it doesn't map one-to-one. Sometimes when you trigger an alert, it is doing like something like running run some sort of a playbook or send message to Slack. So there are multiple ways or multiple actions that the alert is doing. You know that this is more like the health team responsibility, but the setting up of the alert, this is something that is critical for our solution as well. And yeah. And lastly, we are cloud native. We want to make sure that users that adopt, that are going cloud native or using Kubernetes are able to use our monitoring solution, which means that they need specific things. For instance, cluster insights. So we have a couple of things where we can provide our users, first of all, with the cluster health. And we have an issue where we discuss where we need to move the cluster health dashboard that we have on the cluster setting, which is really buried somewhere, to our dashboard, because it's a metric chart, basically. So this is one thing that we can quickly do. And I think the big thing that is needed from our users is, if you're familiar with the infrastructure dashboard epic, think about like a birds of an eye across your clusters. You'll be easily able to see all your pods and their health. We have something very similar with the environment tab, where you can actually see your pods. But think about something like that with, well, we can overlay the health of the pod, so you can select CPU, memory, and other types of key metrics that you want to easily see on your cluster. So this is the cluster insight that users are looking for. And for instance, if you look at Datadog, they have like those honeycombs view. I'm not sure I can show you that. Just probably do Datadog and I'll be able to see it because they. Kubernetes. Probably they have a name, yeah. So this, like, this thing here. So like every big vendor has some variation of this, and we kind of almost have it with with the environment tab. So like taking the environment a step further and display the key metrics on top of it can be very helpful for our users. And with that, monitor the key metrics of a cluster, of a pod, the amount of terminated pod, the amount of desired pod, the amount of running pod, and so on. This is very critical for our users. And obviously with that, we need to provide out-of-the-box dashboards. Now, that's like as I mentioned, like a birds of an eye view, and the details here matters. And today, as I mentioned, we are focusing on the data visualization in the C metric in a dashboard. But as we proceed, I would like to move to the next big thing, which will probably be like the ad metric. And then obviously we can iterate and see where we need to go next. Either it will be like toward like the getting data in and the instrumentation, or maybe log aggregation. It really depends on the feedback that we'll get from the customers and the trends that we will see in the market and the opportunities that we have. Obviously, I am measuring all of the work that we are doing to our North Star metric, and with that, I can move and steer this focus. Yeah, I think this is more or less what I wanted to cover. If you have questions, you know how to reach me. And yeah, I mean, this mural is open for you. You can click through the research. We can, in every weekly meeting that we will have, we can go over a specific research that we did. I think me and Nadia spoke about, we did a research of understanding how our users are using Grafana, because it's very related to the work that we do here today. So this is probably with the next research that we will talk to the team, but you can obviously, you can go, you can click, you can read through the insights. Yeah. That's it.
I have a quick, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a quick question. Firstly, thank you for sharing this. I think this gives a good overall picture and a good direction. I know this is still work in progress, but when you say as a user, so is there a target persona? Is this a GitLab developer or is an expert? And I'm confused about this a little bit because right now with the dogfooding efforts, our target audience are our SRE teams who are expert users. So with this, whatever we see here, the roadmap, are we targeting a different persona, or are we trying to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have an MR that I'm going to share with you all probably next week. By the way, tomorrow I'm out going for vacation. The next week I'll probably share with you with the MR, which exactly speak about who is our target user. Today we focus on our internal SRE team, but this is like some sort of I say it like as a temporary goal because we want to be successful with dogfooding. But based on some of the work that we've done, I think that we should focus first on developers. I mean, of course, GitLab, whenever we start with a new project or with a new solution, we focus on developer first. Of course, doesn't mean that we won't build features that will appeal for the DevOps, but we need to think about it from a developer point of view. And in this MR, I am actually going to explain why those are the target personas. So it's probably be like based on our personas in our handbook, the developers and DevOps engineers, which are similar to our DevOps, to our own SREs, but there is a slight difference, and I'm also going to explain this in the MR. So wait for this MR next week. Sorry for like giving you I'll come back with you with an answer, but I'm working on an MR at the moment.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you for the answer.
Can I share a few things about that too, Dov?
Yeah, of course.
So the way correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is more we're trying to do, for right now, we're trying to help dog fooding. So we're trying to do the minimal things that team needs to get in order for them to get running. And then we're going to focus more on rounding out the C metrics and dashboard section that you're seeing in the mural. Is that correct? Cool.
Yes. Yeah. As I mentioned, we're focusing here, only here. And by the way, I said dog fooding and more because dog fooding is a partial list of things that a monitoring solution should have. Like for instance, drag and drop, like draggable and resize your dashboard is, I believe, is a basic capability any monitoring solution should have. So obviously it emphasized that we need to make sure we are focusing on a specific area, but we don't go too much, like too deep into this area, because we can invest in like every section here for like dozens of iterations to make it like pixel perfect and everything. But we should also be very explicit about, okay, what's our exit criteria? When are we say, okay, we are done, we can move on to the next area? And I mean, we can do it. We have like tools like solution validation that I'm doing together with Nadia and more, and we can set up our own goals. Okay, we can set up our own goal and say, okay, once we are done with doing X, Y, and Z, let's move on. It doesn't mean that we'll stop development. I mean, we still have, as I mentioned, customer enhancement that they will ask us to do things that are outside of this area, which is fine. But the idea is that where are we going to concentrate most of our effort? Not 100% of our effort, but most of our effort will be concentrated on those bullets that you see. So today we are here, and I believe that in the coming iteration, we will start moving toward achieving other workflows. Cool. Any other questions?
Clement, it looks like you had one comment. I don't know if you want to verbalize that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to see if we're gonna add this to the handbook, maybe more than just a link, so that it's easier to reference, since we tend to have a lot of conversation about kind of direction and kind of goals. So
yeah,
I think that might be helpful.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I was thinking about adding this once are done with to the metrics. I'm not sure if it's in the metric direction page, because it's a good question where. Maybe in the APM group, in the APM team, because I want to add to the metric direction page this thing, and probably also here, but like log aggregation does not belong in the metrics section. It belongs in the logging.
Sounds like we need a new page.
No,
I don't
please,
know.
no.
Amy can give us the guidance there.
We have 701. Yeah, it's first of all, yes, to answer the question, yes, we need to document this in the handbook. I'm planning to do that. Well, that's a good question, but I think it's important to have it, and then we'll find a home. Cool. Stop sharing.
All right. Thanks. Does anyone else have questions, comments? I'll echo that that was very useful, so thank you for that. Okay, I have one more topic, and then we'll see if anyone else has anything. Basically, I'm looking for some feedback on one of the key performance indicators that we have for the development group is the MR rate, which is really just a way to measure kind of the output we're doing. So I opened this issue to kind of collect feedback on anything people are seeing that is working for them to either reduce the MR rate, which seems to be, or reduce the review time, which seems to be one thing that impacts this, or have smaller MRs, which could be another thing. Could also put things that aren't working in there too. I didn't kind of call that out directly yet, but I can update it. So basically, I'm just looking for anyone who has tips or tricks, and we'll try to collect feedback across all of ops and try to learn from each other a little bit on how we can make this better. All right, Clement, you have another quick announcement, it looks like.
Yeah, I realized I don't think we announced this on the call yet, but we're having second Friends and Family Day on June 12th. So please take that day off. If similar to the first one, if you have a holiday on that day, pick a day that's around that time. The goal is to encourage us to have better work-life balance and focus on friends and family. And it's a little bit more effective when everyone takes off, because then you don't sign on and everyone else is working. So yeah, very happy that the company decided to add another day. So yep.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, great. Does anyone have other topics they would like to bring up in this call? Okay. I think I allowed enough awkward silence, so we can call it there then. So thank you, everyone, and yeah, have a good rest of your day.